Welcome to my channel. In this channel I share some of the battlefields and military museums I have visited in the past. Hopefully you will find it useful for planning your trips, or if you have similar interests in such places. If you find this content useful, please like and subscribe, as I plan to do more of these videos. In this video I will review the battlefield of what is known today as Pickett's Charge. I will review it from the perspective of both the Union and Confederate angles. As a former mechanized infantryman, I have an intimate understanding of how such a battle would make more sense if executed by mechanized infantry. However, during the Civil War, there were no infantry fighting vehicles or even armored personnel carriers, so the attack was performed by infantry. The Battle of Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle in the American Civil War. It was fought from July 1st to 3rd July 1863 in and around the town that bears its name. The battle in its entirety will be too much to cover in this video, and I won't be able to do justice to the subject matter, so I will refer you to Jeffrey the librarian, who has excellent videos covering the blow-by-blow account of the entire battle, including this battle. On one of my previous videos, I covered the battle at Culp's Hill on the second day of the battle. That battle lasted way into the early hours of July 3rd. In the morning of the 3rd, Robert E. Lee decided that the next move would be to assault the Union center on Cemetery Hill. General Longstreet had great misgivings about this plan and voiced this opinion. As you will see later, the Confederate army would have to charge up about a mile of flat land to engage onto Cemetery Hill in broad daylight. And then as they reached the objective, there would be obstacles like walls and fences that they would have to breach, slowing them down, and as a mechanized infantryman, that would be tantamount to suicide. This is Cemetery Hill today. It is now the Gettysburg National Cemetery. Back in 1863, it was just the town cemetery. The building you see in the distance was the entrance to the cemetery during the battle. As you can see on this photo, this was the position the Confederates attacked on July 3rd. This is another shot of that building from a different angle. This is the same hill but facing the east towards Culp's Hill. Notice the cannonade here. It would be similarly deployed to face the west where the Confederates would attack from. This would be the kind of terrain that Pickett's division would have to march or charge across. The distance was about a mile. It's all flat land, and the attack was to be carried out during the day, where the visibility would favor the defenders, especially their artillery. The plan was there was to be an artillery barrage, and then Pickett's division would come out of the woods where they were concealed and then march or charge towards Cemetery Hill. This would be the view of Cemetery Ridge from Pickett's division if they had field glasses. During the battle, Lee had at his disposal 150 to 170 cannons. Here are the cannons arrayed along Cemetery Ridge pointing towards Cemetery Hill. Fun fact: if you see that the barrels are green, it means they are made of brass. If they are black, it means they are made of cast iron. Prior to Pickett's charge at about 1 p.m., the Confederate artillery commenced the artillery barrage. The Union artillery then countered with a barrage on the Confederate artillery. It was said that it was so loud, it was heard 80 miles away. Also, there was so much smoke produced that visibility on the battlefield was significantly reduced. At about 2:30 p.m., the Union artillery deliberately stopped firing. This was a ruse to goad the Confederates to commence their assault. Once Pickett and Pettigrew's divisions started the assault, Union artillery from Cemetery Hill and Little Round Top commenced their fire on them. It was a slaughter. This area is called the high water mark, which is the farthest the Confederates were able to get to. The assault had failed, and Pickett and Pettigrew's divisions were decimated. You may ask, why didn't Lee use cavalry? The answer is that he probably would have if his cavalry were there. General J.E.B. Stuart, who commanded the cavalry, was not with Lee during the battle, and Lee had no idea where he was. Also, cavalry are like modern-day tanks. They can punch a hole, but you need infantry to take the ground. This is where mechanized infantry are used, since they can follow the tanks and take the ground once a hole is punched through the enemy's line. This is the end of this video. Please like and subscribe if you have found it useful or entertaining.